Used to cook.
th, 2018, time to call to order our meeting of the Murphysboro City Council. And with that, I'd ask that we would all rise. I do not believe that she is, and so I'll lead us in an invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to come together once again as the Murphysboro City Council and as concerned citizens and staff and employees of the city of Murphysboro. We pray that it would be your will that would direct our thoughts and our decisions this evening, Lord, that we would come together tonight to come to solutions that represent the best in us here this evening. We pray all these things in your holy name. Amen. Amen. Pledge of allegiance. I would you please call the roll?
Alderman Hughes. Here. Alderman Curry-Wister. Here. Alderman Brown.
Here.
Alderman Boss.
Here.
Alderman McComb. Alderman Purvis.
Here.
Alderman Bradley.
Here.
Alderman Baxter. Alderman Kemper. Here. Alderman Tippett.
Here.
And Mayor Stevens.
Present. All right, we'll get into our stated agenda items. First up, we have consideration of council minutes from October 3rd, 2018. I'd entertain any questions or amendments to the minutes. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a consideration of accounts payable, accounts receivable, and payroll registers. Entertain any questions on those at this time. I have a question, just, you know, I tend to know Brown Electric, anytime we pay them, somebody's run over a traffic control device of some kind.
What page is that?
This is page 2 on list 722. I was just curious about the incident itself, if Chief Miller or anybody else might be aware of it. It says it's Watson Road, Walnut Street. Nobody knows?
That's for under the Brown Electric, is that
yes. $1,540.
Yeah, I haven't had anything come across with me on that. It could have been before.
All right. Well, I'd just like to. I'm sure it's probably legitimate, but I'd like to hold that one until I can get an answer.
If you want, I'll talk to Darren about it when he gets back from vacation, and I can get a hold of him and tell you.
Okay.
I'm sure he's aware of it.
Okay, that'll be good, Tim.
All right.
Usually ones like that people get knocked down, never.
I don't know what they typically tend to run.
Well, the one that got knocked down out at by Walmart was around $3,000 worth of time.
I think so.
I tell you, this was just repairs other than the light being knocked over.
Okay.
It might be routine maintenance.
Yeah, I've not been given any accident or anything.
Here a month and a half ago or so, with it just malfunctioning.
Okay. Well, if that's what we think it is, then we wouldn't necessarily have to hold it. I just was more interested in whether it was a traffic crash incident that caused it than typical. That's all I have. Mr. Bratton?
Same page, Burke Electric, troubleshoot bridge breaker, where was that at? You want to know?
Wastewater treatment plant.
Okay. And page 7, very last item, how many people attended that, Sandra?
There's about 12, I believe, 12 to 15.
The department heads or employees or what?
Both.
And me.
Right?
On page 10, Northeastern Illinois Public Safety, for $1,500. Someone gotta know about that.
Yeah, it's, that's the old fire that gets them done in a week. It's one of those things that keeps our ISO rating low as long as we have everybody trained to the highest level.
I assume that was still in the budget for that?
Yes.
Okay. Page 12, Sam's Club, not very much, but I see we have a interest charge of $2.87. Is that because of the mail, or is that because it slipped through the fingers?
That I don't know, but it's a late fee.
There was a late fee last month, I know that, and probably got charged interest for it, because that was like, that may be all that was on me.
On page 14, Mrs. McBride, what's the reimbursement for? I'm sure it's legit, but I'd like to know.
The kids that come by here, it's 2 bags of candy. And then the other was, we had mutual aid companies helping us cover the city during President Trump's visit. We had firefighters in from DuQuoin and DeSoto supplementing our people that were still here in town, and I bought pizza for them, fed them lunch, because they were away from their town all day long.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Ms. Hughes, did you have anything?
Yeah, I do. Danny, someone that, I do have a question on page 4. The demolition structure, I understand that that's going in stages, and one is probably the first stage. Have we heard anything about how we might be reimbursed for this?
Well, the payment you see here, just to clarify one thing, is for the pipe. And so they had, paid their vendor for the pipe that was on the ground, and so that's what that payment is for. All I can tell you is that I have been told, Tim Lee has been told, we've all been told that we will be made whole. And I think really what it's going to come down to is once this repair is completed, we're going to have to, submit formally to Admiral Parkway a invoice for X amount of dollars and just ask for it to be paid.
So has anything actually been done, or is this the pipe?
That's just for the
Material
material.
on
It's the
setting on the
material
site.
only, this is, okay, thank you for clarifying that. The rest of what I had was, again, brought out, so it's fine.
Ms. Campos?
Yeah, I have one. Seat repair, $400. Who's the fund? CD.
For the driver's seat. Replacement.
The
What
driver's.
happened to it?
What happened?
It's just wore out.
Oh,
It's
okay.
down the foam and the metal, so
I see.
they re-stuffed it and put vinyl on it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Takes us into our regular committee and commission reports. First, we have Budget and Finance Chair, Mr. W.J. Pittman. W.J.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no items under old business. First item under new business is presentation of financial report by Budget Officer Scott.
And so and and
So again, it's just a snap. More in general fund. So and end of January, first part of February. And of course, this is just what we'll do. It. You got a question, Dan?
Mr. Evan, I don't have a question on this, but while you're on it, I'm just kind of curious where we're at. I know we've got 2 or 3 loans that we're going to retire at the end of this year. Okay, and we've got, I thought we had a couple smaller ones.
And has about within a year.
Approximately, if you can just give me a guesstimate, what the total balance of both those combined?
And then the street sweeper, something in that ballpark.
You done with the monthly things?
I think something like that.
That's very good. I apologize. Thank you.
So, if you guys could call, and then we can do all our discussions and various things. So I just want here to do that. That's
I think it's probably as good as any.
it's 2.
Okay, well, we'll just sort of shoot for that, and if we, for some reason, it looks like we're not going to be able to get a quorum or something, then...
I will tell you, I already have something on that.
Okay, all right,
I'm the only one who's
okay.
Scott,
Yes.
on the balance sheet, on these CDs, have we been able to take advantage of any of the rates rising over the last year or so? Like, if
make a new few weeks, I suspect. So yes.
I don't know what different departments or what different heads those are, or those are CDs that we can play with, but I'm sure you'll take a look and see if we would, if we're paying 6%, we're only getting 2.5 or 3 to consolidate those and then wipe those loans out. I don't know what we're paying on the interest, I forgot. Okay. I don't know if we're making money, but it's a better financial decision. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Evans? All right, thank you, Scott.
Yep.
Next item under new business is consideration of renewal line of credit at First Bank and Trust Company.
Are you against that?
To you.
Finders.
Ms. Ripley?
Our line of credit is due in December, so I've reached out to the bank. They are willing to renew it. The rate is changing from 4.94% to 5%, and it'll remain at the $500,000.
All right. Any questions about that? I'd say probably everybody's in favor of it. It's just good insurance policy in the sense to have.
We'll need a motion.
There's no fee to that, if I understand correctly.
No.
Okay,
Need that motion.
I would make a motion.
Motion, do we have a second? A motion, a second to renew the line of credit First Bank and Trust. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Can you just put that in there that I did abstain from? All right, that's the only item, the last item under new business. Is there any public comment under budget and finance? No public comment, we can move out of budget and finance.
Thank you, Mr. Pittman. That takes us to Building and Grounds, Chair by Alderman Gary McCall. Gary?
Okay, under old business, we have no business. Under new business, I had just put on here. Discussion regarding city-owned property. We talked about this, talking to the neighbors, but we never did really say is $600 all right for that piece of property or not. We'll never get that in a minute, I don't believe. And what we were gonna offer to whichever property owner wants to buy it, if they want to split it at $300 apiece. And we'll go ahead and do the paperwork done, we're gonna bring it back to the council.
You're talking about all of our
All
city
these
properties.
yards,
Yeah.
yeah, just before we tore down houses, that's when I was talking about it. I think one lot we got over there by the church on North 17th, that's a half a lot, isn't it?
Did that conversation change when we started talking about the mobile program, or, I mean?
Well, we were gonna do this before we cleared out the mobile. We could sell it, then it was just those people's job to take care of it. On the mobile home, we're still gonna have to supervise that to make for sure they are mowing it on time and keeping it looking. But we had talked about trying to knock on any neighbor's door. And see if either one of them wanted.
Offer it to them first.
Yeah, we'll offer to the neighbors first.
If we're going to do that, under then and then negotiate. We still
We spend more money and them drawing up the paperwork and we'll get out of the lot. We're better off to give the lots away than do it that way. I see these other towns, they put a sign on the lots for sale, and they have them come to the city to see about buying them. I haven't, I don't know, we're trying to save money here, and every time we go to do it a certain way, we do nothing against the law firm, but when they advertise all these properties, put all that money in, if we get $600 out, we're in the hole. Time you run that in the paper, and a lot of these properties been running in the paper the last time, and they didn't sell them, we didn't get any bids on them. I'd rather, no, I'd just like to get rid of them this winter, so Darren and his crew don't have to go out and mow them.
Well, can we advertise them all at the same time? I mean, a list.
Yes, if there's ones that we've, if there are ones we did not, is to pay. And there's certain,
You know,
Danny, you got,
Do we have to list the legal description on that or just a common address? Because if we have to put the legal description on that, that's going to cross out the wazoo.
what I'm saying, Danny.
Well, I understand where you're coming from, Gary.
When we, if we put them up to bid, we've already got the legal description in there once. But any properties, I don't think we turn down a bid on any property that we listed that got a bid. You know, somebody bid on, we got rid of them. Like,
You agree with that? We would want to verify that though, make sure that we're clean on that.
I have a question.
the state of the property, its size and use to be published.
I think Barb had something.
Didn't we establish maybe a year or so ago, and it seems it was Mr. Heller, not Mr. Blake, that it was going to cost so much money to advertise that we backed off of that? Because, I mean, we were talking thousands.
I do remember.
What are we paying in late? I mean,
Yeah.
we have an ongoing expense.
tax base where we're getting real estate taxes. You know, the county's getting real estate taxes on those from a private individual. They're not city-owned anymore. I mean, there are some benefits that might outweigh the cost. You know, I don't know what those are.
And our employees that aren't doing other things, and they're doing that. There's an expense there as well.
I have a question. Publication for this notice can be done at the County Journal, another newspaper that I think is cheaper, the advertising than, or it has to be the Southern Illinois.
It would either, since we don't published in the county, general circulation in the county.
I think I would maybe want to check the prices on the County Journal, because my understanding is that it's cheaper.
Yeah, I don't
Then the
know what the
southern.
state statute says or how you define paper in circulation, but if we can do that, I'd certainly be all for it.
County Journal.
Didn't have somebody put it on Facebook, supposedly everybody looks at Facebook.
our own program, and we don't have to advertise it. For us to get rid of them, I'm not sure how many of them, I don't have a list of them in front of me. We're down to mow home, we don't have to advertise them, we probably, we got people who want to take them to mow home. And we might be cheaper in the long run to say, well, if you mow this lot for 2 years, you can have it.
And pay your taxes.
And we don't have to make a bid or
Other home municipalities in Illinois do.
Okay.
I mean, if we're gonna sell a lot, $350 to $400, $500 to advertise it, it's not worth it. I thought it used to be where we had a lot set between two houses, and we wanted to vacate that lot. If one person wanted it and the other one didn't, and that person gets the whole lot, if each of them wanted half, they just got half of the lot, and there was no, I think we quit claim deed the whole lot or half a lot.
Didn't we do that with the alley on, over by the shoe factory?
They're treated differently.
It seems like, I'm sorry, Gary.
No, go ahead.
It seems like to me that we revisit this issue maybe once or twice a year, and it's good to revisit it because sort of the list of city-owned properties changes each year. And so if we have, and I know we have published some of these properties in the paper, we need to just go back and get the record of what we published and lay it down aside what we actually own today, and then figure out what we would have to, because I think, Gary, and I agree with you, the goal would be to get to a place where we can essentially one-on-one negotiate the sale of these properties with adjacent owners, because, you know, that just gives us more control, and we do want to get these things out of our hands, a lot of them, but we got to do it in a way where we're all operating off current information, and I don't know what the current information is.
Well, I don't either, and that's why I had Sandra put it on here, because it's been a couple of months since we discussed it, and I offered to go neighbor to neighbor, you know, and ask them about this, because they've been interested in a lot. But the farther it gets in the winter, the more it gets put back, and then when it comes to mowing season, right off the bat, Darren's got a crew out there mowing for a week.
Well, could we pull our Southern Illinois file, essentially that Leslie has, and just look at the last, you know, time that we were invoiced for, but probably has a description, you know, property advertising or whatever, and then we can review what that ad was, and then compare it to what we have currently, and then try to work toward, you know, getting them all advertised, because Herb's right, and that's that even if it's going to cost us, you know, a considerable amount of money, you're going to spend that much money continuing to own them, because it's just a cost of ownership eventually. So, anyway.
Can we get a list next meeting of all the properties that we own?
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem, Eric.
I got it on my desk. I printed out for Gary the other, last week. I just haven't had time to go through every one of them.
We don't need a list of all the property that we own. All we need to list is of the lots that we're wanting to get rid of when we throw down houses.
Well, sure.
Yeah, because you know,
we ain't gonna put this. Put the Dom building on the Odo.
Sign it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I'm glad you continue to be sort of paying attention to that, Gary, because it's an important point. Keeping the track of what's hanging out in the city.
Is there any public comment on the building? None, we'll move out.
This takes us to community relations chaired by Mr. John Murphys. John?
Old business, items of new business, discussion regarding 2 more accidents, report request, we have that incident report.
I know the more families, I'm sure they'll a lot.
Holy crap. So this has been submitted to insurance and
It has been, and it's been denied. Right, and of course, Ms. Moore asked that I place it on the city council agenda, and I was happy to do that. I have my perspective on it, but I welcome anybody else.
any comments, thoughts?
Go.
We always turn that stuff in the insurance company. And the only thing they can do is resubmit it if they want to, even though they've been turned down now. We never pay what the insurance company denies, never have in the past. And that's in their way on everything we've done, so we haven't paid taxpayer money on something that the insurance company denies when we're already paying taxpayer money to the insurance company. We have to go by what they tell us.
And what was the reason for the insurance company denying?
Well, they essentially say that, you know, we couldn't have known that this was going to be an issue in advance, and so it's not, you know, something that they're going to pay out on. Like,
So I don't see any reason to resubmit it, other than deny it again.
well, I think we did get some new information and did actually resubmit the claim. This is the, maybe I'm confusing two claims.
We resubmitted the other one.
Yeah, we were going to resubmit the sewer claim.
The total's $971.13.
But I really sympathize with the Moore family here, because we have oftentimes people who have waste, you know, stormwater back up into their basements. And, you know, there are things that a reasonable homeowner, steps that typically could be taken there, like putting a backflow prevention device in their floor drain, that could have, you know, prevented their issue to start with. But if you're just driving down a municipal street, and there's a hole in the road and your car drives off into it.
I mean, I think if we've got a hole in the road and it's not marked, you know, to stay out of it, I mean, I think we should pay it.
I did have a question. Was the hole there, or did the street cave in?
No, there was no hole. When they stopped the stop sign to turn, then it gave way.
Then it gave out.
And if you look at the pictures in there, there's some that clearly show, I don't build roads, so I don't know how things are done when things are worked on. But there's clearly just a piece of drywall, or not drywall, plywood with asphalt on top of it. It's not really structurally sound to hold a vehicle. It was hollow underneath completely.
Was there work recently done?
I don't have any way of knowing if there was work recently done. The insurance company said they were gonna look into that.
What it is, we got so much rain at that time, and we forced everything out from under the road.
I think we should pay
I
it.
think it's, somehow we are liable for that.
We're talking about, I'm trying to find the address.
All right, if we can ask one at a time, we got a lot of side chatter going on. Mr. Curtis.
Tim, what was your?
We had a sewer main collapse in that intersection, and that's what ultimately caused the road pavement.
Well, you know, it sure seems to me that you should expect the streets not to fall in while you're driving down the street.
Well, I tend to agree, and I understand where Gary's coming from. I don't want us to just start to pay everybody that walks through the door with a denied insurance claim, but there are some very specific instances, I think, like this, where it might be more reasonable.
And the denial reason, you know, I mean, are they only insuring things that we can prevent from happening? I mean, if that's the case, we don't need them anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. We can prevent it. What to do
Well, insurance, you're not negligent if you don't spend it, we don't know that it exists, right?
Miss Moore, you're something dollars.
I didn't, in that claim, the only thing we asked for was, the mechanic said it's not safe to drive the vehicle at all. I don't know much about mechanics, but the main bar that holds your tires together and controls your vehicle is completely snapped in half. I didn't ask for any repairs for the body. I don't care about the way the car looks. That's just our work vehicle for my husband to get back and forth to work. There's no other, we don't care about any of the other parts, just that it's safe to drive.
It's been fixed, that's,
No, it's not been
okay,
fixed.
this is what it would cost to fix it?
That's, yes,
Just to make it drivable?
just to make it safe to drive.
I think Gary had something in his standing.
Yeah, I presume you don't have full coverage insurance on your
It's a
vehicle.
2000 vehicle. It's just a
Yeah,
work
just
vehicle,
got
so,
liability.
yes.
You know, I think we're dealing with the double-edged sword here. Gary and I have been on the council for 13 and a half years. And I have to agree with him. I don't know that we've paid when the insurance company denied the claim, but on the other side of that, you know, no fault of the Moores, obviously it seems like, according to the report. So, I don't know what to do. I think that, you said that the insurance company was checking into something else?
They said they were looking into whether or not there had been any prior road repair. And the letter that they sent for the denial said that that we should have notified the city that the road was in need of repair in order for them to be liable. There was no way for me to know that the road needed to be repaired until the road was liable.
I'm not doubting you on that.
No, do we have the letter over here?
I just want to say that I believe that when these things present themselves, situations like these present themselves to the council, that we're very deliberative, we look at each of them individually, and that this is not setting some kind of precedent that moving forward, anytime something like this happens, and also because we haven't done it in the past, was probably because it just wasn't warranted, not because that is our stance on a situation like this. So I just want to kind of make that point that I don't think that we're on a slippery slope here or anything along those lines. This is completely on its own merits.
All right.
I do have a question. If this insurance per se is not covering, we cannot advertise, you know, or know beforehand when an accident is going to happen. And they're telling us that because we could not prevent, we did not prevent it, they are not paying. As a city, are we dealing with the right insurance company? Because like this letter, it has been wiped out.
We have to know, maybe like if the street light was down, like the stop light was down, and you knew about it and didn't fix it, that could be liability there. If we didn't know it was down, how can we fix it? That's what they're saying, Grace.
What about if you are driving on the overpass and a piece of concrete fell on your car and killed you?
Interesting.
Oh, the city.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why I haven't heard of any insurance companies going broke lately.
Right.
And that's, you know, draw your own conclusion why that is. So that's because they sent out a lot of denial letters. But in this particular specific case, I feel like we ought to do this.
It's less than $1,000. They're not asking for a full body work, and you know, just to get it running.
Yeah.
So, what's your paid $900 and some odd, and make the check out to you and Pat Auto Supply, repair both and whatever, because that's where you're going to take it, understanding Pat does great work working on my vehicles before. Okay, that's all I'm going to clarify.
Mr. McCall?
This, taking in with this claim, if you vote to pay it, what about if somebody's driving down the road and blows a tire and rim out in a pothole? We gonna pay that too?
No,
We
because
probably know that's there ahead of time, though. This is there.
I mean, did a sewer collapse cause the problem?
I don't want they won't pay it, but they think it's an act of God because of the water that we had. You know, that's how they deny a lot of claims. And I knew they didn't have full coverage insurance, so their insurance company would be paying it and going after our insurance.
I make a motion that
We've never done it.
Respectfully, I think if there was a pothole there and you drove into it and you got a flat tire, then that wouldn't be. They came upon this seemingly normal road and it fell in, and I think it's a completely different situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I agree with her. We look at this case like this case.
Was there a motion on this thing?
That the payment is contingent on, Tina Moore or whoever involved, that it's a full satisfaction, at least for the claims.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we pay for the cost of repairs once we get the release.
All right.
She's over from here.
We are.
2.5.
I'm sorry, Danny started, so that's.
I'm sorry.
To pay the cost of repairs, once we get the release signed by the
So that would release any other aspects of the claim.
Yes, it would include everything, any injuries, any further property damage, everything.
That's the motion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no? Opposed? Dan was quietly, no.
Gary.
You vote?
Yes.
No.
Oh, you
Yes,
voted
we
no?
voted no.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Down in the air, so.
He's a
Get into the new year.
Yes,
Understand, I just had a question. Did you vote to pay her bills for the damage? Or did you vote to pay that $900 and some odd dollars?
To 971.
971.
That's
So
it.
then I thought, no.
I didn't know how you had it listed. Makes a difference.
Right.
All right, thank you.
all right.
Consideration. Christmas event.
I had this. Last year, the hometown Christmas group, and just as a side note, today the big tree was, I believe, delivered to Spicer, or Town Center Park, rather. And I wasn't down there, but I assume they got up in right order. And of course, they've been busying themselves around town, getting all the Christmas lights up, and generally making the town look good. Last year, they asked for a $500 donation, essentially, on behalf of the city to support their work. This year, they've asked if we would consider a $1,000 donation to Hometown Christmas. They certainly, are happy for anything that they get, and that is what this consideration is. Mr. Brad?
Where does and I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, where does tourism come to play in on this? Are they supporting this? Is it the same, or is it a separate organization, basically?
I don't know if tourism has, given anything to Hometown Christmas or not. Scott, I know you're somewhat involved,
I mean, I know that tourism, and they get a lot of buses in down at the museum, and that's fine, but I think this is something that, I went up there last year, and I could not believe the crowd. And those were not all Murphysboro residents, I'm going to tell you that, so it does bring a lot in, I think.
Well, I know they have expanded, they're getting an additional carriage ride this year. I know that they have, received some additional lighting and decorations and things that are going out, and I believe they've engaged some food vendors for that evening that'll be set up there. And so they kind of learned from a few mistakes, they smooth those out and run a little bit more.
Are you entertaining a motion to give them the 1,000 or the 500 or what? What do you are, Will?
Do we have the money?
I thought it was a great event, and I, for one, would be willing to make a motion that we give $1,000.
That's what I was going to do.
Okay.
Second. Let's have a discussion. I just had one, is there some of the matters we can pay for something as opposed to donating? I don't know if that makes a difference.
Yeah. If it wouldn't matter if it's just a donation for that.
I mean, I guess I have a little bit of a problem with us donating as opposed to paying for something that will support that matters.
I mean, it's a big deal for the town to have that up
It was
there.
great.
Yeah.
I would like to see tourism pay at least half of what we're paying, and I think they should.
Well, even if they want to donate another 500 on top of it, that'd be great.
That's what I'm trying to say. I think that tourism does a good job, but I think that it wouldn't hurt for them to pay in on this.
How do you want them contacted?
Why don't you reach out to them?
How do you want us to reach out to them, or what? Do you want to reach out to them, or do you want to say?
Who's going to reach out to them?
Yeah.
I am?
Yeah.
Who's the head of it?
Yes. Thank
My job is to make sure that she has the rest of them.
All right, that takes us to public improvement chaired by Mr. Mike Bastian.
I don't know if you have anything to add. I know we checked it over from the last meeting.
Well, I would just briefly say that, of course, I presented to the council and sort of talked about why I think that this is something that would be beneficial to the community in the downtown. Smizer granted us $10,000, and I'm kind of rehashing some things here. And looking at, I talked to Keith Moran, who we certainly are not obligated to use as a consultant for a downtown TIP district, but he said that he would cap his firm's fees at $27,500 today, which is $2,000 under what he had originally quoted. And if we wanted to engage with him on this, then he would need essentially $2,000 initially, and then two other $12,000 payments to be made at a later date, whenever like essentially halfway through the process and then at the end. I think that we could probably, with the $10,000 from Smizer, and I know I brought this up at the last presentation of it, if we just say $10,000 from the demo fund, that would leave us to try to find $75,000. You know, every other community I've talked to about this that has these districts has seen an increase in business, an increase in properties being improved in their brick and mortar area of their community. And so I just keep it on here because I still support it. I still think it's something we ought to do. We haven't, of course, voted to formally move forward with it. And I just want to have that conversation. Mr. Voss.
Yep. Before we get too buried in where the origin of those additional funds will come from, whether it be from demolition and the plus or minuses of that, and I don't know if it's appropriate at all, but can we turn to Mr. Evans and see if he can make suggestions on where we might have that opportunity to come up with funds like that, and then we can weigh those benefits instead of us saying it's going to come from source A or source B. We get kind of muddy down in that and sort of lose track of what I think is really important on this subject, and it's getting the TIP district funds.
I think that'd be a great way to move forward, Mr. Brett.
I'm not saying I'm against it, but I think we ought to wait till we get our budget taken care of before we take any action. Great to gather all the information. It cost $27,000 for them to set up a TIP district.
Well, the one we created previously cost 34. So
This is the bargain.
It will cost us actually $17,000 because we have $10,000
Correct, and I understand that,
donation.
but I
So-
think that Spicer also wants us to be good stewards of our money.
I mean, that's what
That's what the
they're
taxpayer
giving us.
I would like to see, gather all the information, but I think we ought to get our budget settled. And I agree with Alderman Voss. Yeah, there's probably money in the demo, but I, for one, don't personally like to see it take $10,000 out of demo.
Well, and nobody's been a bigger champion of demo fund than I am. When I first got elected, we shoved $50,000 in there, and everybody told me I was crazy, so.
Well, I'm not saying that you are, and and now that there's only one of those pieces of property, from what I understand, clear title completely, so there's a real good chance, there's always a chance when you finance something for them being, I'll put it that way, that's how I want to say it, so let that be food for thought.
Mr.
Mayor,
Bass.
I'm all district, but I would like to discuss further to add to your presentation where you have it mapped out. I think we have some other options if we go that route.
Yeah, the associated lumber and
Down that street.
up that corridor, I think. I think that's make a lot of sense. Thoughts of the- Well, we can, I think, I'm going to hold this item on the agenda, and I just want it to be in your thought process in terms of how we go forward with budgeting things for next year. And Dan, I tell you, I'm so glad we got you here, because, I mean, I know what you're going to say before you're going to say it, but your point's still valid, and we got to figure out how we're going to pay for that. Mr. Pitt.
I do want to say too, kind of, one of the benefits to a TIF district is promoting people, and improving the buildings inside that district. Hopefully in the future that could keep us from having to pay demo costs on some of those buildings yet.
Right.
We've already had to on Walnut Street get a demolition order on one building that we didn't demolish, but that's money that could be saved in the future if people that own them are improving them.
All right.
Do we have any public comment? With that being said, I'll close public improvement.
Thank you, Mr. Bastian. That takes us to Public Works, chaired by Mr. Dan Bratton. Dan?
Okay, under old business, we have two items. And I understand there was a meeting this afternoon that I was unable to attend due to a conflict. So Mayor, I'll turn that over to you, as Harold Sheffer or Tim Lee or whoever you said.
All right, well, I'm probably going to wind up circling everybody in on it. There was a meeting today at Senator's office, myself, Harold Sheffer, Ted Beggs, Tim Holcomb from Holcomb Engineering, and also associate of his, Jim Stewart, and Tim Lee. I think I got everybody that was there, but after quite a lengthy conversation and looking at the stability of the soil in that area, it has been made fairly plain to me that our best solution to this problem, to make certain that we don't have problems going forward, is going to be to essentially relocate that section of the main about 50 feet further to the west, and to where it is just in soil that is always going to be stable, going to be out of the floodplain essentially. And because from everything that Holcomb Engineering was able to show us, that soil down there is going to take an incredible amount of reworking in order to make it fully stable. And we don't want to have to do this, I don't want to do this project one time. I don't want to have to do it more than what we're already doing. So I think that's a layman's point of view. Mr. Sheffer, do you want to add to that?
No. much moving it 50 feet to the north, or to the west, excuse me, is gonna hopefully alleviate that problem. It will take 2 extra manholes, and I think originally we were looking at a little bit over 400 feet of pipe, so it's probably gonna take another 50 to 60 feet of pipe in addition to that 400 feet.
That soil could be stabilized by using Codell lime, could it?
Sure. I mean, you can do anything, but I mean, it's not. Yeah. On the other, and it's doing this. So,
Mr. Lee, do you want to add anything?
No, I think that sums it up as well. I mean, I think this is the most cost-efficient solution, honestly, after we discussed it today.
Mr. Stewart?
I agree.
Mr. McCall?
Well, right now it's bad between 2 manholes. Are those manholes going to stay where they're at now, or are you going to have to move them too?
I think they're okay. But they've more.
That's the only bad, we're not going to have to worry about
No,
down the line?
I don't think. I think no. You know, there's a lot. They didn't put as much fill in that area in the same way on the south side.
I just wondered, then we'll get these fixed and then back toward the hospital.
Yeah.
Because when that was put in, you know yourself, there wasn't nothing wrong because they took the dirt off of it.
Oh yeah.
That's all from the contractor down there working Rawson. It's too close to sponging that ground around the river, in my opinion. I mean, that's all I wanted to do, is make sure we didn't have to. Next one we'll be talking about, we're doing another.
Some of the schematics at the advice of Holcomb as well.
Yeah.
And he's a professional when it comes to that.
There's 2 or 3 questions that come up to me is that, well, we have to put that out for bid, being one, and when could we start, and is Joe Capias still willing to pay?
Well, I think that we talked about that in a meeting today, all 3 of those items. The first one out for bid. It's my opinion that the project essentially, although we sure haven't acted like it, well, I take that back. I shouldn't say that. I mean, this is an emergency repair.
I agree.
And we have taken our time to try to get our ducks in a row and make sure that we do this right. But it still remains an emergency situation, and I think that we ought to continue to let Bush make this sort of modified repair. We've already paid them for pipe, and so, I mean, I don't see how we could back out of using them right now.
I think a simple change order would probably make that.
I think that's the easiest way to do it, yes.
And be clean.
I agree.
Okay.
And Gary just said it'd be an add-on essentially.
Yeah, change order,
Yeah.
what I'm calling it,
And so-
add-on. And the other thing is.
What was the second thing?
Well, when could they start needs to come after we verify that Mr. Capias Corporation is going to pay.
Well,
It ain't gonna make no difference.
Regardless, when it's done.
An intake,
Correct.
if we don't get that thing fixed, so there's no
Time
way to
is-
pump them,
Time's important.
you know.
Okay,
I think, Harold, you said that, you know, I know how things go, it's supposed to snow, you know, Thursday and whatever, but, I mean, I would hope we could get this thing, if we got lucky, started this coming Monday.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're gonna get somebody out there tomorrow to get the information that we need. Bush, there will be a permit be required. We can get that under emergency permit, so hopefully get everything to him and get a price. It would probably be the manholes not being on hand. They usually have to make those manholes because they are I think those are 5 or 6 foot diameter manholes as opposed to the normal 4-foot manhole.
Hopefully you can push that on high priority.
You know, it'll be done tomorrow, I mean, as far as the field work and
And I know you guys got a lot of control over it, and Mr. Bush also over the people he'll be getting the manhole from if it's an emergency. A lot of times they'll flip that up ahead of something
Sure.
else. Do we need a vote to approve what we've just discussed?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question.
That's
Blake, you have any-
To, you know, we've already for the job. I don't think, once you come, I think you're just a matter of, when you know that final number, you're approving it, I think you approve it then.
Because the question I had today when I was crossing the bridge, with the cold weather hitting us, how long is that 4-inch line going to be working, not freeze up, laying on top?
it's always got something going
So
through it.
something going through it, so the temperature should be fine, but cross your fingers, hope you don't get 5 degrees.
I think we're on borrowed time doing it that way, but that's the only way we can do it, and you guys did a great job. Okay, so my understanding is then we're going, Harold's going to take care of getting it checked out, drawn up, submit for an emergency okay on it, and contact Bush Construction so that they know what they got to do and they give us the price and we're going to approve it. We don't really have a choice, and they've always worked with it extremely well. In fact, they did a lot of stuff just cost plus at P&M and whatever. We've always came out very good, so.
And I will impress upon Mr. Tobias that he really needs to get down here to a city council meeting to address this group. Because he can say it to me as much as he wants to, or anybody else, but you guys are the ones that matter, you know, when it comes to casting votes, and it's just important that he gets here.
But we also realize that, you know, that sometimes conflicts, they can't always be here, but I would welcome it. Mr. McCall.
The only thing I'm saying on this, if Harold gets the paperwork done, and it's the day for him to start the day after our next council meeting, say, we gotta give Harold the information to go ahead and start doing it. We can't wait that 2 weeks for our next council meeting to vote on it. I mean, we gotta give him the okay when it's ready, he goes.
Yeah.
I think we have the original vote.
As long as they know that, if everything's ready to go down there, and it's a week, 10 days for our next council meeting.
Well, I can promise you,
We need
we
to
ain't
put that
gonna
over
make
one
I'll go
This
down
is
there and
work in
fire a check
progress.
myself, and I'll be on a run.
Well, I just don't want to see how.
That's in this case, you get the same thing.
That's all.
You're listening to all this.
Read his plans and notify Mr. Bush to go ahead from there, and then when the work is completed, you can approve that additional amount.
Got a motion by Alderman McComb, second by Alderman Brown. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, unanimous. Okay, under new business. Just, Mr. Sheffer, give us the update on the wastewater treatment plant road. Mr. Sheffer called me today and gave me an update, but I'd like for him just to lay it out for everybody.
I think to be mitigated down to 1.3 acres. So you will have the wetland bank 3 times that amount, so it's 3.9 acres, and I think the low an acre, so it works out to about $105,000. So that would need to be paid in addition to what the original construction cost was. So I guess where we're at, kind of twofold. One, we've kind of had and as we also stated, the city's going to get an individual permit for this rather than being included in a nationwide permit. So we've got individual permit if the city is going to commit to putting the money in the wetland banks, which is going to be required by the Corps of Engineers.
So what would your recommendation be? Because I think it was pretty well the consensus of the council that we definitely need to put this road in. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Sheffield, but April the 1st, you can't cut any of these because of whatever that is.
I believe Jim will then take that information and get a cost on taking those trees out. So I think that even if the road facilitates them getting in there by boat, rather than having to dog those trees will be gone. So I mean, that any other timing.
Okay, while we're on that, what's the pleasure of the council on go ahead and, now that the trees are about marked or are marked?
Yeah, I don't think it's not final mark, no.
Okay, going ahead and getting some, 2 or 3 bids to take the trees out. What's the pleasure of the council on
I'll make a
that?
motion we do that, get those trees out regardless.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it unanimous. Okay, now what are we going to do about? So we got 105,000 on that permit plus, what's the projected cost in addition to that?
I don't remember, 320,000, it kind of sticks in my mind. You know, and that's using the pile of dirt that's down at the wastewater plant now.
I know we've been saving that, not letting anybody touch it. Because it's gonna be so much cheaper by the dirt being
Sure.
right there at the flow.
Sure.
So, where are we at on the discussion? Somebody on that?
Well, that's something nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to have to pay $110,000 to some wetland bank. I mean, I appreciate conservation efforts sincerely, but at the same time, I just don't, that's a really hard pill to swallow. I mean, that is a really hard pill to swallow. But, you know, at the same time, we said this is what we're going to do.
Well, and it's a matter of safety for us.
Safety.
That's it. I mean, it's not, if it's gonna happen, it's, if Jim had a heart attack down there during the flood, how are you gonna get in to get it? Or if somebody falls out of one of those boats and drowns, I mean, the amount
Another
of.
thing you gotta consider, something goes on with that sewer plant. They
Yeah,
don't have road, get the equipment in there.
that is true, yes.
It's gotta be done. I don't like the part that we have to
I don't know.
pay somebody to put a safe road in. I don't know if one of our representatives or congressmen could help us with that or not.
Well, it's a good question. I assume that we have to, you know, write the check to the wetland bank first. That's not the check you get to write last.
The thing is that you know, available is a 50,000, then you're going to be talking about 50,000 times 3.9. So
You're already been mitigated down to the 339, so
Yeah.
we're.
So what's the pleasure of the council?
Let's get our road in.
So do I have a motion?
So move.
Have a motion, second, go ahead and buy this wetland. Huh? We've already approved that?
No,
I
I
thought
think we just approved cutting trees down. We haven't approved the purchase of the wetlands yet.
Okay, we still have a motion, and we still have a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It's your job to get the money. Okay.
I just assumed you might.
And I'm sure Harold let you know, Mr. Sheriff, when the trees are marked where I would like to get 2 or 3 reports if possible.
I'll do that.
Okay, under new business. Water issues at the Murphysboro Middle School. Mr. McCollum, Mr. McCollum.
I got a call from the secretary, which I think you talked through too.
I did.
They created this problem, I believe, a long time ago. It's on the northeast corner where they park, up past the statue. That water, whenever they poured, they wouldn't have ramps in there for the parking place, it was low. The water sat there. I took Darren out there, I got rid of the water the other day. Took a street sweeper and just swept it around the corner. And he was talking about putting a grate in there. Either way you go is several hundred foot to get to a manhole. To put the water into. I mean, either way you go. Storm sewer is one on the corner or the other corner. If they can get it a long time ago where the kids walk down the street going east. Rob had a pipe put under it, probably maybe a 3-inch, I don't know, it's not a 4-inch, maybe 3-inch pipe, put blacktop on it for the kid. We talked about putting a grate around there and then pouring that corner in where all the dirt, where the kids cross, pouring that concrete so we wouldn't have all that dirt drug in there. I don't know if it's, I assume the school district probably
Mr. Keener is here. Just,
yeah, I had called the mayor the other day because I've been principal there for 5 years, and I know that it has gone on longer than that. And the story that you're telling is what I've always heard. The school district created the problem, and we don't know. I mean, I haven't been there that long. I don't know if that's true or not. What I ask is maybe have some discussion and come and look at it because it is a safety issue. First of all, the water backs up enough that parking on that ramp you're talking about, folks step out and they're in the water. When it freezes in the winter, there's a sheet of ice that people step out on, and that sheet of ice also goes south on 21st Street, all the way down to about the band room area, which is about half the block. And the reason that I called was 2 weeks ago when we had the big rains. A parent and I think a delivery truck, as I stand out there and watch kids walk out every day and across the road, a parent drove up on the curb right there by the light pole, electric pole, whatever's there, it's got that guy wire coming down, and a delivery truck hit that as kids are waiting to cross the street because the water is up even with the curb. And that's all I was wanting to see. Is there a way that you guys can look at that? All right, and I understand it's not going to be fixed tomorrow, and it probably is a major problem that may never get fixed. But at least have some thought process or some talk and see if there's a way we can do something different in that corner.
Go ahead.
I went out there with our street corner.
But it was Wednesday when we were able to cross going north, when the street sweeper did sweep out the leaves and junk that was in that.
And I talked to Darren, and we talked about on a corner where going east and turning south. Talked about pulling that corner in where the dirt is and stuff, making that concrete, cutting that out, and put a steel across there that kids can still walk across, and the water will get under it. Darren's on vacation now, right? Yes. So the best thing we can do the next time if we get a good rain is get the street sweeper out there a little bit earlier and push that around the corner so we can fix it permanent. But we did look at it. I don't know the girl's last name, used to be a Keel. She called me the other day and asked me. The next day I got Darren to go out and look at it with me. And we agreed to get the street sweeper out there just to get the water around the corner away from that spot. And there's no doubt when they poured the concrete for the parking lot coming down, they went below the street with it. And that's why the water's sitting there, that where it's coming down. Yeah.
Goes like
And
that.
there's no way for it to get away.
And there's no
But I
drain
think-
at that.
I think with the street sweeper, we can get rid of it. The manhole right in front of that very disturbing. So we can't take the water in, we have to take it either around the corner, or it's gotta go all the way the other way to the other end of the block. There's not a place to dispose of the water, as we can make it, for it to go around that corner and back south. And that's what we're trying to do. It's not gonna be something that's gonna be done in a day either.
No,
It's
I
not gonna be the
understand that.
cheapest thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
And before we do it, well, Darren figured out what it's gonna cost. The school district don't pay for it, and it has to come back in front of council to vote to do it. We can temporarily try to get the water away there for you, which is what we're trying to do now. We got it all out with a street sweeper the other day, and that may be our best bet, so we get it running, get it around that corner.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fact, we don't want somebody stepping out on the ice there with water. Instead of getting out
Well,
of
the
their
kids
car,
end
they're
up
going back
not
street.
crossing, they either have to cross a couple of extra streets, or they go out around the stop sign and around and across, and it's a little bit of a safety issue.
And we talked about soiling it and put a grate in there, where the water would go under the grate and the kids could still step on the grate across. I mean, that's what we were looking at the other day. When Darren gets back after deer season, we'll be back out there again and look at it. If Danny wants to come or the mayor, that's fine.
All right. So from what I'm hearing, this is the first that I've known of this, what I'm hearing that is, that when the school had their parking area poured, they poured it too low, and it's created this problem. So when Darren gets back, we can, and for the next rain, we can check that. Meanwhile, Mr. Peter, if you could verify that the school is willing to pay us the cost on doing that work, or if they just want to go out and get a contractor and do it themselves, that would be helpful and also could speed the process up.
I'll ask them.
I mean, I know that,
Well, like
I know with this new 1% sales tax on it, they can just spend it on certain things, but that's I think that,
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering, just try to figure out something.
yeah, and, you know, we're willing to work with the school district, but, you know, understand that we didn't create this problem, but we're gonna try to help all we can.
Yeah.
And until it's resolved, you know, we'll go beyond our duty and to try to resolve it, because the kids are important, and the teachers and the administration and everybody else.
It's bad enough with just the water, but when the ice is.
Yeah, and that's right around the corner, maybe this week.
I also got a call from the school, and I went out and looked at it, and it is a safety issue.
Mr. Pittman, I think you might
I'm
answer.
good. You kind of asked my question has anybody gone to the school board yet and asked it, you know, if a drain at that low corner of that parking lot, you know, they could put one in there that they could go through across their property to tie into our, you know, storm drain.
Probably be tying it into the sanitary, and we don't want that.
Well, no, I mean, it'd have to tie into the storm drain. They'd have to show somewhere. I mean,
We don't need any more infiltration.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying how, I mean, to connect to the storm drain, could they go across their own property? I mean, if they're putting it.
Oh, sitting on the street.
Okay, if we're done with that part of it, then.
Okay.
Yeah, there's one at the very next block back on the,
So it'd have to be a long way.
yeah.
That's what
Is it
Darren
down
said
at
the other day.
21st and Edith? Is that the
Southeast corner.
closest one?
Southeast corner of the school. There's one.
You better down all the way down 22nd Street.
Well,
Put in
just
them
one block.
drains in the street, you have to do the curb, I better.
There's one at South 21st too, in the corner.
On the corner
on
of
the far
Edith and
corner.
21st.
Yeah.
Okay. You all clear now?
Yeah.
All right.
Just one block.
Consideration of resolution for the right-of-way acquisition for the the North 7th Street project.
This is the city's share of the right-of-way, 20%. So I think that original estimate for the right-of-way acquisition, and again, that includes appraisals, reviewing appraisals, negotiating, and purchasing. We've already had some businesses out there donate. Anybody that donates. This just appropriates money out of your motor fuel tax program.
So, what, 20%, so they want 50,000?
Yes, 50,000. As we go.
We have a motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Second, oh, sorry.
Motion and second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Public comment? Will come out of public works.
That takes us to public safety, chaired by Mr. Russell.
The only thing the animal control truck, so we don't want to get rid of that. But so we'd like to be declared surplus so that we could dispose of it. The money would go back to the Ford and Fire Fund for use for other things within the fire department.
Sounds good to me.
Is that old soda machine worth anything?
Probably exercise equipment.
It's you know, it might be.
Well, that's
So
scary.
we sold ours for $3,000.
Need a motion on that, so be it.
I make a motion that, the fire department and surplus these items.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Next item, consideration of minutes to open warrant ordinance.
And the only 3 feet from a combustible PVC fence. So I made some proposals. All of the trees. And then so we went with a 3-foot. Just able to easier determine that. property damage.
Certainly sounds like a good idea to update our ordinance on open burning.
In number 4, is under 4 and approve. We need some clarification of what is an approved container if in the event.
Let's see. Under either in clear same work.
15 feet if in an approved container.
Okay.
So that. And then I refer. Okay.
Well, would we like to approve this pending consultation between Chief McBride and our city attorney to make sure that squares with everybody?
I'm gonna do somebody having a long ball like the high school youth had.
Find her right here. It's under the side. Yeah. So,
All right, is there a motion?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All
Is that with the changes?
That's with,
Yes,
with
with
the
changes.
proposed changes for the thing. Can we vote?
I interrupted.
I don't know what's going on. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries, I think.
Next to the discussion of budget, 1960 Street.
That's mine, Russell.
Okay.
So this is at the request of a citizen that I met with recently, Ms. Evelyn Jackson. She lives at 1915 Edith Street. And essentially, in between the time that I met with her and the city council meeting this evening, been able to, I think, alleviate most all the concerns there. Essentially, there was some young children living there, and it seemed to be a very unstable home, and there seemed to be a lot of potentially, criminal activity going on there, and issues with some people stealing power and whatnot. And I told her that she specifically asked that I have it brought to the entire council's attention, and so.
Just like a neighborhood?
Yes. And now I understand that, the power is off. I know, Eric, you've been working on this particular property extensively. Do you have anything you want to add to the conversation about it?
It's been going on for some time. The kids are in and out with grandma, staying with her. It's just the mother who owns the house, and her boyfriend basically staying there, no water and no power. And I got both of them locked off. It's just going to catch them and write the tickets.
Well, I know Officer Zhang did find Robert Luttree and somebody else there cleaning the garage out recently on an extra patrol. So I would just basically ask Chief Ellermeyer to just continue to take a look at that property and assign it for extra patrol, because I know that it would help the neighbors essentially feel more secure and improve their quality of life. So that's the entirety of my update on that property. If there's nothing further on that or any public comment on issues of a public safety nature, Russell?
Yeah, our team had asked to water cooling fire department is on this, it don't work anymore. You say you got the money to get it.
The Works Department, it's been in there a number of years. It's now does not cool at all anymore, it just runs and does not work. It's pretty old. I was hoping to purchase a new one. We would install it ourselves, and it'll be one that we can actually recycle plastic bottles, filled plastic bottles. So I'm asking for, if it's over $500, so I was asking for permission to purchase a new water fountain for the fire department.
How much is it?
It's about $900.
You have a nice box with a bottle of water.
So it's the standard. You know,
you find money in your budget for that purchase?
Also used by both departments, it's not just
fire,
police and fire, so it's on a regular basis. So it's not just for us.
Any public comments?
I have something in public safety, and in the past year we have had in Murphysboro some vandalism, breaking windows for the different business. And I was asked today, with Ashley Burke, she owns Glen Salon on 16th Street. The consideration for the city to have cameras in downtown, and I say I will bring it up. I mean, people complain, slashed tires, broken windows in downtown, and maybe as a council, we can put that on the agenda and consider that out.
And I have no problem having it on the agenda. Chief Hollow actually previously had proposed this very thing, and I think that there was a little bit of pushback about just the big brother, quote unquote, type of perception of it, and that's why it never really went anywhere. But I think that there could be some positives come from it. You know, ability to even film the Apple Festival parade, things like that, could certainly be a part of that. So if you'd like to have that put on the agenda, we certainly could.
Yes, and actually the way that I see it is because she got today salesperson that they were asking to get a security a video for the business and 5 years contract, and I think as a city we owe that to our business, a safety issue mainly, and it will help also our police department.
I think it certainly could help our police department in some instances, yes.
So we can put it on the agenda and then study and discuss this. Will be great. Thank you.
All right, so we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Thank you.
And now the public safety will come out of non-public safety.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. That takes us to personnel, chaired by Ms. Barb Hughes.
Under old business, we have the ever recurring discussion regarding family ride-along policy for the city department. I don't have any, have we carried this over because we don't want to lose it?
Well,
lose sight of it, or are there any new developments in this?
we carried it over because at the last meeting, I said that I would email the Southern Illinois Mayor's Association and get some feedback from other municipalities about what they are doing in this regard. I had not received, I did send that email about, I don't know, 10 days ago, and I had not got any response from them as of this morning. So I called the Mayor's Association office and left a voicemail, and then I got an email back later this afternoon saying that the secretary there that usually disseminates that communication has been in the hospital the last 10 days. And so they had not followed through on that. But they said that they were out now and that they would send that out tomorrow. You know, we do have coverage. You know, our insurance agent has said we do have coverage. I don't want this to fall, you know, through the cracks, but you know, I should have followed up on it sooner. Frankly, after I didn't hear back within 2 or 3 days, I should have called in and said, hey, what's going on? But
not that you have anything on your plate.
Well, that's maybe.
I guess my big thing is, Mayor, shall we just table this until you get more information from the mayor's association?
I don't know what else to do.
Okay, I think that we, you know, the thing is, I just don't want to lose sight of it either.
No,
I understand why it keeps
we need to get
recurring.
this straight. I understand why it's important, and
I do too.
I will continue to try to work, because I think we can get some good answers from this.
Yes, I hope so. Okay, anything else under, there's nothing else listed under old business unless someone has something. New business, consideration of ordinance amending a policy prohibiting sexual harassment. I think you all have a copy of that in your packet. And
So all this
if you have
does.
any questions, we'll just turn.
I can explain why. If everybody, the governmental municipality. Means the
And then for November of 17th, right?
correct.
All right.
So
So I would entertain a motion to adopt this sexual harassment policy with its amendments.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, got that, Gene? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is there any public comment on personnel? Hearing none, I think we can come out of that.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. That takes me to the mayor's report. Update on Mobile Ranch Mobile Home Park. I did speak with the manager this evening before the meeting, and she said that she had had some dental work done this afternoon or something, and so she was not feeling altogether herself, and so she would like to come to our next meeting, and so she apologized for not being at the last one and not making it tonight. She does want to come, and if you have any questions anybody has. Mr. Kennedy, I think you may have been down there today, or they're working on another trailer. Do you have any updates?
Right, they're starting to tear down another one. So this is the third or fourth one they've done in the last 2.5 months. I meant to call her and just didn't get around to do it, to see what they've got on their list of things to do down there. If I don't see anything else, I'm gonna start Monday probably, getting serial numbers off the trailers that are junk and start doing sending letters to them, tear them down, or we will.
Yeah, I tell you, I encourage members of the city council, if you haven't been through there, taking the time to drive through there, do, because it'll work.
It is.
It doesn't quite do it justice just talking about it here.
And even going by on the highway doesn't do it justice. It's frightening.
Yeah.
How many trailers, Eric, do you think there are to be destroyed down there?
Offhand, I don't know. I know I gave a list to the mayor a couple meetings ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did we have that in the budget? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I must, somehow I'll look for that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll get it from Eric. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, that's all I have on that item at this time. We have now up next the update on the settlement agreement regarding the brown shoe factory property. And if I remember correctly, we were going to try to secure some title work or something of that nature. Mr. Blake?
Yes. Approval the agreement with the amount of their proposed contractor intended to obtain title. The amount agreed to be repaid and included in the mortgage. Proceeding further with the settlement document. So today we prepared the request. So we've got their verification that they're agreeable to move forward with all of the terms that we've set forth. So we would be hopeful to have the title work, and depending on how that comes back, no issues to have that agreement to be signed by next meeting.
All right. Thank you for that update. Mr. Bratton?
Is there any way that that was set up to where no one else could file a lien on that property?
If we...
Okay. There's something or a lien on that one house. I don't know where I read this or got this somewhere. One house was free and clear.
To locate the deeds for the property. We see that it's owned by for that. Against what interest there's been a will as an heir property.
Where's the other half go?
Well, if from the information we have, she has a son. So if the is an heir.
That's Carl's son.
That's the information given to us.
Refresh my memory, how much was that loan we were going to get that thing?
Fee for or mortgage. Those will be tacked onto that $44,500.
So we're basically loaning them every bit of the valuation of the platform to get it done. But it's got to come down. It's a terrible safety hazard. Thank you.
Okay, well.
Okay, that takes us to consideration of moving December City Council meetings 12/6 and 12/20. I know we already voted once to move the meetings. This is at my request. My wife is much smarter than I am, and so her company pays her to go places and do things. And so she's asked me to go along with her to a wrap-up meeting that the company's working for this year in New York City, and I don't have to pay to, my hotel's paid for, my flight's paid for, and all that stuff. So, yeah, right?
No, that's good.
Provide anything to this relationship, and I was like, well, I don't know, I just keep waiting.
I'll make that motion there.
All right, we have a motion and a second to help out the mayor. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Thank you all. I'll send, yes, I definitely will.
I was gonna say, send us a postcard or something.
Fish out of water, I can tell you that. They can tell I don't have a local accent. Up next, we have approval, we have actually two different approvals here that I need to get approval of ordinance establishing an enterprise zone in Jackson County. These are, the enterprise zone we currently have expires in 2020. We've been working through Greater Egypt Regional Planning Commission. You may remember that we agreed to pay a third of the cost of what it's taking to reapply. The state has made the application of these enterprise zones a little bit more difficult, and so I think everything's going well, but this is just part of what we have to adopt to make sure that we continue to have that incentive for businesses in Jackson County.
This is a continuation of what we've already approved.
Well, not really a continuation, it's more, well, I guess you could say, it's just the next step in the process.
Okay, thank you.
We need a motion on that?
Yes, sir.
I'll make that.
All right, we have a motion. Gary, did you second that?
Yes.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We would need a motion on each ordinance, I guess.
Yes. So that was for the ordinance establishing an enterprise zone, and now we're going to do the intergovernmental agreement. So yes, now I need a motion for the approval of an ordinance authorizing the city of Murphysboro to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Jackson County and the city of Cargill for enterprise zone.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I still have this item on here under executive session. I have nothing new really to report on it, so I don't know that I really have to take this executive session.
I have a question, Mayor, just to make sure. The meetings in December, they're gonna be on a Thursday night instead of a Tuesday night? The 6th and the 20th? Okay, my calendar was right then, thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll skip the exec tonight, go to the council member requests. And I'll start with my right with Ms. Hughes. Ms. Gray, what's just cut? Mr. Brown. Mr. Voss. What comes next? Mr. Irvis.
I see the house on the south 14th Street still standing. Martin's, John Lewis.
Didn't hear what you said.
Shallow house on South 14th.
It's still there. He's got a 40-yard dumpster there. The paperwork, I sent it out today and signed it.
Mr. Blake?
Mr. Heller wanted me to report. I'll report it now. That building throughout this week. So.
Forwarded it down.
Mr. Brown. Thanksgiving. All right. Very good. Mr. Bastian.
I have nothing.
Ms. Campbell.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy family at the time.
Mr. Pittman.
I'd just like to thank Chief McBride and the fire department for inviting you and I out to the fire ops program. Lance here when he was one of the ones there with us, and I told Alderman Bastian this earlier, if there's a fire, I want those guys to be the first on scene, not me. I felt it for a couple days afterwards doing the stuff that's, pretty easy for them at the slowest pace possible. So, hats off to those guys.
Thank you.
All right, take department head requests. We'll go to Mr. Blake.
Nothing.
Ms. Ripley.
Nothing.
Mr. Evans.
Nothing.
Mr. Shepherd.
Nothing.
Chief McBride.
Pretty busy week. We had the entry-level test, both police and fire, last Saturday. Didn't net very many, just one person got through everything, so I'll be working on that. Today we had our student intern from the high school with us, and as long major downtown fire right across from the hospital, so the intern got a chance to see what it's really like when it's actually a lot of work to be done. So that was well. That went well. Fire department as well, I think, police department. It came off without a hitch. Everything was protected. The city was well protected in addition to our responsibilities at the airport. So everything went well with that. Go real quick and then get out of your hair. How do I? Yeah.
Some not safe for alert work language.
We got you covered.
There's a lot of women there.
Thank you.
That's accepted.
There you go.
Password, that's 5 digits. Just gotta figure what they are, right? Oh, Scott.
Icon is the recipient of the...
This yeah.
Leaders got the chance to participate in Fire Ops 101, giving them a glimpse of the physical work firefighters do every day. This was the first time Fire Ops has been held south of Champaign, and to put on such a large event takes a lot of time and careful planning. News 3's Ronnie LaForge geared up with those city leaders and spent a day learning just how hard the job can be.
The day began by learning how to get properly suited up to go into a fire.
Today they're doing a Fire Ops 101 program, and it's an opportunity for local firefighters to bring out their elected officials, administration, people who are making decisions, to see firsthand the work that they do each and every day.
Earlier, I think it's good, you know, elected officials, administrators, and get a first-hand feel for what the fire service actually has to contend. It'll be good for me to get a little extra physical exertion beyond just signing paperwork like I am right now.
Then it was time to put on our masks and put on our uniforms.
Yeah.
Good?
Never good. Never good. It's cold out here and I'm burning up in this thing. And we haven't even went into the fire yet.
Our attack team went in to extinguish a fire, and to my surprise, it was nearly impossible to see.
A lot of times flashlights won't do that much blind. It hits the smoke and it doesn't go through the smoke. It's that dark there. So we're listening for the crack and feel the heat. When we're getting hotter, we're getting closer. When we hear the cracks, I know we're getting close.
She experienced it. We experience every day. Just going into a fire. It's usually going to be in the middle of the night when we get these fires, so it's going to be pitch black and it's already going to be smoky and hot.
But I did this time when I rescued a 150-pound dump.
Wow. That's, hey, but we got respect for you guys. Respect for you before them. No, it's nice.
Army participant.
Climbing a very, very tall ladder. This is the station that I was going to be able to do no problem, but I still didn't make it to the end, so we're good. Every participant walked away knowing that it takes the right gear, a lot of training, and someone very special to be a firefighter.
For unexperienced people like myself, it just goes miles beyond what you can learn just from sitting in a boardroom.
I think you have to depend on the guy in front of you and the guy behind you to get you through this.
Been a real good education in terms of better understanding the need for training, quality equipment, and maybe the manpower.
These guys are great. They're unprecedented. Good men. And it's been a wonderful experience. And again, it sensitizes us to what these people do.
In my own, I read call sheets. I read calls from service. It's just a number, right? It's a piece of data, but it's a lot different coming out here in actual conditions. These guys work in, and helps appreciate how hard they work to train. You have to stay fit. It's a hard job.
In Carbondale, Vodka Forge is free.
Wow, that was pretty cool. Nice work.
Okay.
What is it?
This is just some.
It's covering.
No business. I don't think oxygen in a can would be so heavy. Oh yeah, here we go.
Leave some.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So, got the from our apartment. Show you guys what they look like. So,
Thank
that's what they did.
Oh, yes,
I did it in the precise moment.
You didn't show it in the...
We actually will bring them out through the window, something called intersearch, where we go directly into the fire room and pull them out, and we carry them down the ladder. So with full gear on, we called WJ up, and Adam was on the ladder, Adam Torrance, and carried him down sideways down the second story of the ladder. Sideways.
Yeah.
News report, and, it seemed like the other departments were giving their governmental officials, all kinds of help, and, definitely something I won't forget how great it is.
We really would like to only have a couple people on shift compared to other departments and agencies, how they have 5 to 6 firefighters on one day. We have 2 to 3 men, and going into a structure fire for the first 5 to 10 minutes, you don't know if you have backup coming. So, you know, a lot of the things we do, we're pushing ourselves to the limit that sometimes goes above what our safety standards would actually allow. So, you know, we appreciate you guys coming out and actually seeing how we do that, and you guys did a great job. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
That's all.
Well, Chief Ellemeyer, how you gonna follow that up?
The people with us to see the bad guys when they people, and there's been people from Murphysboro coming in and just introducing themselves, and so it's been another good week of getting acclimated with the department and the guys and everything, so we're moving forward.
Thank you very much. Mr. Van Waring?
I got a good follow-up. Nothing.
All right, very good. I have a follow-up, your follow-up on that, actually. I've been working quite a bit on the new city website, you know, under the IT with the Revise company, and it's just right about ready to go live, and it looks really, really good, and I'm just real happy about the way that's coming in. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Mr. Kennedy?
Nothing.
Mr. Lee?
We had a couple water breaks on Business Highway 13 last couple weeks. Water orders had to be issued, and everything's good to go as it is.
Okay, good. Mr. Stewart?
Basically just normal stuff. We've had, which I'm not real happy about, but we've had some breakdowns down there that I feel shouldn't be happening to a $17 million sewer plant. We've repaired, or we're in the process of repairing them, so that's where we're at.
All right. With that being said, is there a motion to adjourn?
So be it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.